Before I get into this video, if you have been keeping up with this series and you are not yet subscribed, then please do so. I am trying to hit 30k subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so it would be much appreciated. Also drop a like. All right, on with the video. So we have the Denver Nuggets as our first round matchup, and as for the series breakdown, there's actually surprisingly little to say because I think we match up extremely well with this team. In terms of how we defend them, we are pretty much at our default matchups, other than Luka will be defending Aaron Gordon while Robert Covington picks up MPJ. Hayes on Jokic, Wall on Murray. Tim Hardaway Jr. defending Will Barton is fine. Their bench depth is solid, but if we're running Luka at point against their second unit, I don't expect Monte Morris to kill me all that much. So one-on-one defending them, we should have no issue. Within their team offense, we have good team defense to match, so I think we're one of the best defensive matchups against this team. And then in terms of our offense, the Nuggets are a middle of the pack defensive team. The only thing that could worry me about this matchup is that Luka is going to be guarded by MPJ, not because Michael is some great defender, but because he has a lot of size and length. It could factor in, especially being that it's 2K and the attributes don't matter as much in terms of how effective you are. Really, it could be difficult to shoot over him or go in the post, and that's how Luka gets a lot of his offense with his step backs and his fadeaways. That said, I don't think Wall will have many issues scoring on Murray, even if I think Murray is an underrated defender. Wall has a good amount of size and strength on him. Tim Hardaway Jr. shouldn't have too many issues getting open with Barton or Monte Morris guarding him. So I'm confident that we will win this series in spite of the fact that the Nuggets are a damn good team. I think for both of us, this should be an offensive heavy series. I imagine there will be some high scoring games, but overall I think we have the edge on this team. So with that said, let's get into the series. Okay, so first play out of the gate here, I realized that I am on rookie difficulty because I turned it to that for the sake of recording footage in practice mode. Here are the normal custom sliders that I'm using. As I mentioned in the last episode, the CPU is at about a 60 on its scoring attributes, whereas we are in about the 40s. And I also think their defensive IQ and stuff like that is turned up, as well as both of our staminas, because I think 2K is far too what's the word? They're far too stingent on stamina and making it like the biggest deal in the world, and you play a starter's minutes and he's dying half the game, and that's just, I think it's overkill. But early on in this game, Denver's offense is really getting going rather easily, in spite of the fact that, like I said, I do think we have a good defensive matchup. Either way though, these are two really good offensive teams. We get the pick and fade there with Robert Covington, so I don't expect us to shut them down by any means. I just simply meant that there's not going to be, there's not going to be some easy ass offense. It's not going to come that easy. You see Tony Snell in the game here. He ended up getting the rotation spot for the playoffs over Austin Rivers. I didn't really show it, but for the games that they played, Tony Snell ended up having the better numbers, which is kind of sad because Tony Snell's numbers weren't particularly great. But also in the games that I did play, I believe I played 2 or 3 games with Austin Rivers, Tony Snell just played better when actually playing the games. He was more versatile defensively, and then he just hit his open threes more so than Austin Rivers did. So that ends up being the guy that we go with in the rotation for the playoffs. He's still only playing like 15 minutes a game, so it's really not the biggest deal in the world. Very difficult and one there for Luka Doncic off of that assist from John Wall. This play right here, John Wall, like I said, he has a good amount of size and strength on Jamal Murray, so there were a lot of possessions in this series where he was just simply able to push Jamal out of the way, and that resulted in easy buckets for him. Speaking of easy buckets, a wide open 3 off of that inbound. Don't know what Aaron Gordon was doing there, but then Robert Covington and myself leave Michael Porter Jr. open, and then I jump very stupidly at Zeke Naji, who, by the way, is a very, very underrated rookie. He's going to be a pretty damn good player. Nice dump off pass right there to Maxi Kleber, who gets the standing dunk surprisingly, and then MPJ hits this pull up 3 to end the third quarter. You guys are aware that Michael Porter Jr. is probably going to retire as one of the greatest 3-point shooters of all time, right? Like, that's a thing. I don't feel like enough people know that's a thing, because he almost certainly is, presuming that his health allows it, which thus far in the NBA hasn't been too much of a concern, other than missing his rookie year, obviously. Tony Snell with the 3-pointer right there, so proving that he seems to be the more effective player than Austin Rivers. Wide open 3 for Robert Covington right there as that drops. Absolutely love the jump shot that I gave him. This play right here is essentially a pick and fade that turns into a give and go. I did not defend that very well, but also the CPU didn't defend it very well, so it was just kind of a clusterfuck. And then on this possession, MPJ stumbling a little bit in the paint, but he gets this short fadeaway on the baseline to drop. So we now have a 2-point lead with 3 minutes remaining in the game, but make that 5 with that Luka three-pointer in the corner as the defense just completely collapsed on John Wall. But this corner three from Michael Porter Jr., who's just been lighting it up on the perimeter in this one, that one makes it a 2-point game. I get trapped in the corner, but John Wall is open under the basket. That's a difficult pass to make, but it's also Luka Doncic, so that's kind of how it goes. Tough shot there by Nikola Jokic, who's definitely having a better game than he was in the game we played in the last episode versus them. Jackson Hayes has been less effective, and with that alley-oop on the break, it is now a tied game with 38 seconds left, but I have Jokic on Luka, and I was able to completely lose him there, but because Jamal was chasing me, I didn't get the space for the jumper, but able to drive into the paint and get these free throws to drop. Luka is an improved free throw shooter since when he started this series. Still not as good at it as you would maybe like, but he's no longer atrociously bad. Off of that rebound, takes that inside to the paint for the 4-point lead now. Jokic in the paint gets that jump shot blocked by Jackson Hayes, and that is pretty much all she wrote as Luka takes this all the way in for another dunk to make it a 6-point game. And that shot misses, and the buzzer sounds, or I guess it doesn't because I have the broadcast sounds off, which for some reason also affects the buzzer. But 42-point game by Luka, 21-point game by John Wall, who got some easy buckets on Jamal Murray. And then Jokic and Michael Porter Jr. had good games for the Nuggets, but Jamal Murray really did not. So that's a win in game 1. Then I simulate game 2, and though there were points where it was close, we win that one. And then now on Denver's home floor, this game's a little bit closer, and with a couple minutes left in the game, I decide to hop in to try and take the 3-0 lead on this team. Drive inside by John Wall, kick out to Tim Hardaway Jr. that it probably should not have taken. Not a good look right there. And then on the break, Jokic finds Monte Morris for the open three-pointer, so it's a 5-point game with 2 minutes remaining. On this play right here, Jackson Hayes brings great help defense off of the switch, but Luka fouls Jokic, and that makes it now a 7-point game, and that is a difficult deficit to surpass with 2 minutes left, but not so difficult if you're going to leave Tim Hardaway Jr. wide open when you could have just left Jackson Hayes as the open one. But speaking of wide open, I gave that shot to Aaron Gordon. I was willing to take the math on that one that he would miss. He did not. Jokic did not miss that one, and we lose game 3 to Denver on their home floor. I decided to simulate game 4, even though it was a kind of pivotal game in the series, which means we now have a 3-1 lead, and going into game 5 on our home floor, we have an opportunity to eliminate this team in a gentleman's sweep. However, in the first quarter of this game, offense did not come easy really for either side. It came a little bit easier for them than it did us, but you see there's 5 minutes left in the game, and now at this point we've scored 4 points in 4 minutes of game because it's 9-minute quarters. 3-pointer right there by John Wall, so that's well now 9 points because I showed you another basket, but that's a very low scoring game. It's 15-11 at the end of the first quarter, make it 15-13. So a very defensive first quarter and not much offense going for us. Played great defense right there, and Jamal Murray still drops that layup regardless. Drive inside by John Wall, kick out to Maxi Kleber, who makes a jump shot. Look at him go. Very rarely do I actually do that. On the switch right there, I'm not giving Jokic a post up on John Wall. I will take the math and hoping that Jamal Murray is going to miss an open three-pointer. But he does not. And even though we actually had the proper matchup that time on Jokic, he still is able to be fantastic and get that spin dunk, which was very nice out of the post. Jackson Hayes gets his dunk on the break off of that steal. Missed there by John Wall, but the putback dunk by Jackson Hayes. So Jackson Hayes active on the boards and just active overall in this game thus far. Tough step back by Luka. One of the reasons why our offense was struggling so much is I really was not getting a lot going with with Luka. I don't know why I struggle to remember what his name is. This and one right here that I was trying to go for a layup, but ended up being an and one jump shot. That was like his third or fourth basket of the game, and it's the third quarter now. But he finally starts to heat up a little bit in this third quarter. Also gets his passing game going there with that pass to Robert Covington and this dump off to Jackson Hayes, who obviously is not going to be stopped by the 5'8" Campazzo, but this off-ball screen gets Luka an open three-pointer. So offense coming to him a little bit more in this third quarter. Jackson Hayes blocks that Monte Morris layup. He really should have passed that out. And then the save by Luka to keep it in bounds and the pass to Robert Covington on the break to hit the three-pointer. Luka once again with this is a tough-ass spin. I can't believe he finished through all those defenders and not a single one of them managed to make that shot not open. But I believe in this game, if I'm not incorrect, John Wall ended up having, if not more points than Luka, basically the same amount, because offense was just coming easier to him, especially with that Jamal Murray matchup. My fear that Michael Porter's size would affect me in trying to score with Luka ended up kind of being true, because even though MPJ is not the most skilled, so long as he's in front of me, he is 6'10" with a long wingspan. He's really athletic. Juan Toscano-Anderson open three-pointer right there as we see ourselves in a very tight game going into the fourth quarter here. Drive there by John Wall. I cannot believe he jumped this high. He looked like fucking 2013 LeBron James on that one right there. I'd make that the thumbnail if it wasn't a pain in the ass to crop it properly. Dump off pass to Jackson Hayes even though it got tipped. So we have a sizable lead on Denver with about 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and now make it a double-digit lead with the corner three by Tim Hardaway Jr. So it looks like Denver might be going out really quick. Tough step back by Luka with the green release. 9-point game here, but Jokic drops his three-pointer, so they're not out of it quite yet. That pass right there that Jackson Hayes was not able to interfere with. I almost called it a dump-off pass. It's not what it is. I took too long to take that jumper with John Wall, and Jamal Murray was able to contest as a result. On the break, Jokic finds himself open because I jumped with Robert Covington for some reason, so now it's a 2-point game. So we just had a 10-point lead blown in a couple of minutes, but the dunk by Luka Doncic gives us the 4-point lead, which makes us feel a whole lot more secure. He gets this dunk on Luka, but as long as there's no foul, I'm good with the 2-pointer. And then now we have to play the free throw game. And luckily, Luka, like I mentioned earlier, is an improved free throw shooter. Hits both of those. This pass down to Aaron Gordon. I'm fine giving you the 2-pointer. Just don't make any threes. And Luka, once again, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. I also have his free throw, down packed. So after that miss by Jamal, once again, Luka at the free throw line. Hits that one, hits this one. 6 for 6 from the free throw line for Luka to close this one out. MPJ misses that corner three. And we have officially won our first playoff series of this series. So yeah, Luka did end up with more points than John Wall just because those free throws in the end, but for most of the game it was John Wall who was the primary scorer. But yeah, overall really good game for everybody involved. Robert Covington hit 3 3-pointers in this one, and we won that series relatively quick for what I expected, and now that means we have the pleasure of facing the OKC Thunder, who are actually a surprisingly good team in the second round, and I'm actually more scared of this team than you might think. But more on that in tomorrow's video. That is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more MyNBA content like this, and cue the outro music.